This photograph captures hundreds of miners being forcibly removed from Bisbee, Arizona. So how did Bisbee reach this point of mass deportation? In July of 1917, a mining company called Bisbee Copper Queen deported more than 1,000 miners on strike to Columbus, New Mexico. The miners, most of whom were immigrants from Italy, Mexico, and Slavic states, went on strike due to their poor work conditions in the Bisbee mines. The workers would only return to the Bisbee mines if their demands were met. These demands included 2 men working together on machines, discontinuing all blastering shifts due to rock debris that injure miners, abolition of the sliding scale of wages with a flat rate of $6 for men working underground, and no discrimination against members of any organization, such as unions. The superintendent at the Copper Queen rejected their demands, which catalyzed a strike that began on June 27, 1917. So what were the social dynamics of the Bisbee mines at the time of the strike? The Bisbee mine was referred to as a white man's camp, coined after the exclusion of Chinese miners who attempted settlement in the area. This nickname reflected the prevalent sentiments of xenophobia and white supremacy that lingered within the area. Foreign workers face racist procedures and attitudes at work, making both living and working conditions difficult. However, the term foreign became complicated, as Italian and Slavic immigrants were often categorized as white. Mexican Americans and Mexican immigrants were also hired at the mine. However, they would earn half of the white miner's salary. What happened when the miners went on strike? In response to the strike, County Sheriff Harry Wheeler led the attack and arrest of over 2,000 miners on strike. Once detained, workers were given a chance to return to their unsafe work environment. If they rejected the option, they were deported. The attack was predominantly an attack on immigrants, specifically Mexican immigrants, as 80% of the workers deported were immigrants, half of whom were Mexican. The Bisbee community expressed support of Wheeler's leadership throughout the mass attacks. Following the events of July 12th, the Bisbee Daily Review documents that the Citizens Protective League of Douglas, an organization sponsored by the United States Department of Justice, claimed that Wheeler had their full and undivided support of our membership to preserve order and expel traitors from the community. The support documented in the Bisbee newspaper was shared among thousands of residents of the Bisbee town, leading to greater support of Wheeler and his actions. Along the way to Columbus, New Mexico, those deported were subjected to ill treatment. They were forced to stand in hot and crowded train cars for hours with little water. When the train made a stop for fuel and water at Lee Station, 200 armed men guarded the trains to ensure that no one could escape the cars. Once displaced, few strikers were welcomed back to Bisbee, and most stayed in or around the Columbus area. These strikers were displaced from their homes, occupations, communities, and lives because they challenged their supposed superiors. The treatment of strikers before, during, and after the deportation not only portrays the lack of regard that the United States had for immigrant workers, but also the lengths that those in power will go to in order to maintain capitalist systems. The lives of Bisbee workers were considered disposable to the mining economy, and these actions were supported by the Bisbee community. Both of these responses to workers' rights highlights the disregard, disrespect, and white supremacy within the economic, political, and social realms of the United States. With worker strikes occurring throughout the United States today, the Bisbee deportation reminds us to consider the lengths that those in power will go to protect oppressive capitalism.